foreign official from foreign criminal jurisdiction, protection of person in the event of disasters, and formation and evidence of customary international law. The second special meeting would be on the topic extraterritorial application of national legislation, sanction imposed against third parties. To make this meeting successful, a number of legal experts would lead the panel discussion. The annual session is also expected to address the following topics that are on the work program of ALCO: the law of the sea, deportation of Palestinian and other Israeli practices, among them the massive immigration and settlement of Jews in all occupied territories in violation of international law, particularly the Fourth Geneva Convention of 1949, environment and sustainable development, and challenges in combating corruption, the role of the UN Convention Against Corruption. Apart from these issues, the head of delegation would also be reviewing the organizational matters, including the financial situation of ALCO. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and ladies and gentlemen, I request the delegates to avail of this unique opportunity and reflect the concern of their government and countries regarding this topic, and to share their experiences with and among ALCO member states, as it is my view, one of the fundamental aims of our annual meeting. The Secretary of ALCO has left no stone unturned in putting together the necessary arrangement for the convening of the 52nd session, free from any flaws. However, if there are any shortcomings, please pardon us for the same. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I once again welcome you all to the 52nd session of ALCO, being held in the historic and beautiful metropolitan city of New Delhi. I sincerely hope that your intellectual input would ensure focused deliberation, paving the way for this session to be a huge success. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Excellency, for the hearty welcome. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Bello Adoke, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the President of our 51st Annual Session, to address this august gathering.
Honorable Ministers, Heads of Delegation, distinguished delegates, observers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm delighted to have been invited to deliver a statement at the inaugural session of the 52nd Annual Session of ALCO, being hosted by the Secretariat of ALCO in the historic city of New Delhi, India. Let me take this opportunity on behalf of my delegation to express our profound gratitude to His Excellency Professor Dr. Ahmad Muhammad, the Secretary General of ALCO, and the ALCO Secretariat for the very warm welcome and hospitality extended to us since our arrival, and the excellent arrangements that have been made to ensure a successful session. I want to particularly commend the Secretary General and the Secretariat for preparing all the documents relating to this annual session in good time. I'm sure this would contribute immensely towards facilitating our deliberation at this session. Let me also extend my gratitude to all the honorable ministers, heads of delegations, distinguished delegates, and observers and the panelists for the 2.5-day special meeting, for honoring us with their presence and for sparing time to participate in the 52nd annual session, which promises to be very interesting and successful. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, over the next 4 days, during the course of this 52nd annual session of ALCO, we would be deliberating upon a number of topics that have immense significance for the member states of ALCO and developing countries in general. These include environment and sustainable development, law of the sea, challenges in combating corruption, International Law Commission, statehood of Palestine, and extraterritorial sanctions. It is my belief that this would go a long way in enabling the member states of ALCO to forge common positions on various critical issues of international law, so as to reflect the aspiration of the Asian African states and their people in the progressive development and codification of international law. It will be recalled that since the inception in 1956, following the convening of the Bandung Conference that brought together the newly independent states of Asia and Africa for the first time ever on a common footing, ALCO has come a long way. With a membership of 47 states from Asia and Africa, ALCO now occupies an important position in the international legal community, both as an advisory body to its member states and as an essential mechanism for inter-regional cooperation and the exchange of information and views on matters pertaining to international legal issues. For long, ALCO has served as an insightful prism through which one could understand the positions and opinion of developing countries on any given legal issue. In its role as a body that brings together the viewpoints of Asia and Africa, it is well known that ALCO has contributed significantly to the progressive development and codification of international law over the years. During my tenure as the president of the 51st annual session of ALCO, I had the privilege of observing the working of ALCO Secretariat from close quarters. It is beyond doubt that the Secretary General and his deputies and their able team of legal staff work assiduously to prepare documents, not only in relation to the annual session of ALCO, but also for various intersessional meetings that are hosted by the Secretariat of ALCO from time to time. In my capacity as the president of ALCO, I've witnessed that under the dynamic leadership of the Secretary General, ALCO has been making its presence felt in various international legal fora by ensuring that the viewpoint of Asia-African countries on a number of legal issues are given due expression and attention. I'm sure you will agree that both Asia and Africa have a lot to contribute to the development of international law and its underlying values for a better understanding and peaceful coexistence among nation states. As a member of the International Law Commission, the preeminent body charged with the codification and progressive development of international law, I can attest to the work of the ILC and the immense contribution that it has made in this regard. During the half a century of its existence, ILC has produced over 20 sets of draft articles that have been transformed into major global conventions establishing rules of international law in key areas of international law, such as law of treaties, law of diplomatic immunities and privileges, law of succession, law of the sea, and among others. The ILC holds a lot of significance for Asian African states. It is one of the forums where these states could articulate their views and concerns in relation to topics on the agenda of the ILC, and in turn influence the work of the ILC in its lawmaking process. The special rapporteurs of the ILC, who are key to the Commission's work program, plays a vital role in channeling the views of the Asian African states and puts to use those views in preparing their report and draft articles. In this regard, members of the ILC and the special rapporteurs from the Asian African region could be utilized very effectively in bringing the voice of Asia and Africa to bear on the work of ILC. I have, from a privileged position of serving as a member of the ILC, the abiding belief that the work and deliberations of experts in international law could serve as an important source of inspiration to the Commission in its work. Indeed, one of the functions assigned to ALCO under its statutes is to study the subjects which are under the consideration of the ILC and thereafter forward the views of its member states to the Commission. My presidency, although quite memorable, also witnessed some hiccups. As you are all well aware, it is customary for the president of ALCO during his tenure to pay a visit to the headquarters of ALCO in New Delhi. However, despite my efforts to come to New Delhi and to interact with the Secretary General of ALCO and his staff, due to some unfortunate circumstances, I could not make it. Similarly, every year, we also hold an annual meeting of the legal advisors of the member states of ALCO at the United Nations headquarters at New York. Last year, too, the meeting was convened on the 5th of November 2012 in New York. The permanent observer of ALCO to the United Nations, Dr. Roy Lee, had made all arrangements for the successful convening of the meeting. The Secretary General and myself had made all arrangements to take part in this meeting. Regrettably, both of us could not reach the venue on time due to Hurricane Sandy that had swept through New York at the time of the meeting. Although we could not participate in the meeting, I'm pleased to report that due to determination and shared commitment of our member states, Nearly 60 delegates from ALCO member states and other states took part in the meeting. However, I met with the Secretary General at the 11th session of the Assembly of State Parties to the International Criminal Court that took place on 15th November 2012 at The Hague, Netherlands. I recalled on this occasion that the Secretary General delivered an important statement that clearly highlighted the concerns of the Asian African states in relation to the work of the International Criminal Court. I also thank ALCO for the opportunity given to my country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to host the 51st annual session of ALCO at Abuja. During this session, I had the fortune of sharing some of my thoughts on not only the contributions of ALCO to the cause of the developing world, but also the commitments of my country to ALCO since it joined the organization. I'm delighted to report that in recent years, ALCO has increased its intersessional activities to a considerable extent. It has held seminars, training programs on a number of areas of critical concern to its members states. In this regard, the untiring effort and commitment of our Secretary General in conceptualizing and executing this program, despite the financial difficulties that ALCO has been facing in recent time, deserves commendation. In the year 2013 alone, we've had two high-profile programs, one seminar on climate change, and the other one was held to commemorate the 30th anniversary of UNCLOS. The Secretary General and the Deputy Secretaries General of ALCO have also been actively participating and presenting papers on various issues of international law, both in India and abroad, with a view to disseminating the viewpoints of ALCO. I hope that this healthy trend continues in future as well. However, as the President, I respectfully urge the member states of ALCO, who are in arrears, to pay their assessed contribution within a reasonable period so that we all can collectively put ALCO on a sound financial footing. The need to fulfill the financial obligation of ALCO so that it carries out its mandate unhindered by any financial hiccups remain very compelling. Once more, I thank you for the opportunity to serve as the president of this important organization and wish all the distinguished participating delegates and observers very fruitful discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable, for that very, very comprehensive speech, which has exhaustively dealt with the activities of ALCO and the role that it can play in the future. With these words, I now invite the Honorable Minister, Mr. E. Ahmed, Minister of State for External Affairs, Government of India, to deliver the inaugural address. Please.
Professor Dr. Ahmed Mohammed, Secretary General of ALCO, His Excellency Mohammed Bello Adok, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and President of the 51st Annual Session, His Excellency Mr. Rauf Hakim, Minister of Justice of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, the President of the 15th Annual Session of ALCO, Honorable Ministers and Heads of Delegations, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I warmly welcome you all on behalf of the Government of India and my own behalf to our great nation, the world's largest democracy. It is indeed my honor this morning to be amongst ministers, attorney generals, and the high-ranking officials of the member states of the Asian African Legal Consultative Organization, attending the 52nd Annual Session. Ladies and gentlemen, international law is no longer a branch of law which governs only international interstate relations. With the rapid pace of globalization,